I want to talk about something that some might find controversial, although they shouldn't, because this is simply the new reality. And that is this idea of integrating AI literacy directly into the curriculum. I have tried to push this before in other videos, and now I'd like to specifically talk about this because this is a pressing issue. Now, there's some resistance with some faculty, faculty senates, maybe even some leadership that want to do a hold off, let's wait and see type of thing. The problem with that is that it's already gone by as far as the time for us to wait. Of course, we need to always be doing ongoing research, always be looking into this. But the idea that all students need to have this type of information, they need to have this type of skill is something that was already in place last year. In 2023, they already needed this. They are already graduating and going to get jobs. And at their jobs, they're asking them, what type of AI literacy skills do you have? What type of skills do you have in order to use this AI within this job to be more effective? They were already getting that last year. They're already getting it now. They're going to be getting that type of question, that type of demands on them into the future. So if us in academia are not properly preparing them, then we're setting them up for failure and not for success. So I want to go in and address that. Now, this is a main aspect of what's in my book, in my 9-step action plan for the integration of generative AI into education. So this is one of the action steps. Why? Because I think it's that important if we want to properly integrate education, to have all this information to be the most important thing that a student goes through in order to prepare them for life. Now, of course, we're going to be talking about things associated with having them being prepared to work, but this goes beyond that. This goes beyond that, and it talks about citizenship, and it talks about just being able to be a successful person that is living in an AI-infused world. So I want to break this up into two different sections, right? We have concerns that faculty might have, and then we have the reasons why they need to do this. So I'm going to start off with the reasons. First of all, it's not just me saying this. Sure, there are lots of outspoken people that are talking about, hey, AI is here. We need to ensure that students have this capability. Yeah, that's great that we have all these people saying that, but it's not just me, because there are so many governments, there are so many organizations that have looked into this, that have researched AI, generative AI as well as regular AI. They've looked into that and they've found that, hey, this is something extremely important that all citizens need to have. They need to have AI literacy skills. Here's some direct language that comes from, again, organizations from around the world. So here's one that comes directly from UNESCO, where it states that for effective human-machine collaboration, take institutional actions to enhance AI literacy across all layers of society. Notice that it says all layers of society, and it also specifically says take institutional action. To me, that's pretty clear as far as the need for this to be something that's ingrained within the actual academic curriculum within all levels. Now, here's another one that comes from the World Economic Forum, and listen to this direct language as well. It states, in this crucial moment, when AI is poised to transform every aspect of our personal and professional lives, universal AI literacy is imperative. Imperative, not just something that, oh, we should look into, or hey, we should research and then think about it into the future. No, it's saying that it's imperative. Now, that quote actually comes from 2023. So this has already been there. There's other quotes, other things that have come from all these different organizations like the UN, you have BRICS, you have the United States, you have Britain, any country you can think of, really, Russia, China, Asian organizations, India, they've all come out and said the need for AI literacy. So it's definitely there. It's not just something that a few people are talking about, but this is, again, a world is noticing that this is an important thing. So we in academia really need to take notice and really need to put the pedal to the metal to move forward with this. Now, I'm not talking about being haphazard. I'm talking about we need to definitely be approaching this. So many universities are still looking at this in a piecemeal way. Oh, we'll put together one course and we'll make it optional. This isn't something that should be optional anymore. This is something, a skill that all students need now. So we really need to push this. This isn't something that, okay, well, after the summertime, then we'll start to form a committee. No, you should have already had a committee going, but if not, there needs to be one right now, and it needs to be working to address this as soon as possible. Okay, so that is one aspect of why this is needed, right? And again, this is coming from all the world organizations. But now let's think about, well, so why is there some of this resistance? So one of the big resistances that I've seen in faculty is them making this statement of, well, I can't teach this to students. I can't teach them AI literacy because I don't have it. I don't have AI literacy. I don't know about it. I'm not sure about it. So I can't really express this to my students. I can't help them learn this. Oh, okay, yeah, that's very understandable. So you need to learn, right? One of the things we're supposed to be doing as instructors, as faculty, is to be a role model. So in that, that includes lifelong learning. So yes, we need to get training from our superiors. We need to get training from our organizations. Our university should be pushing out training for all faculty, for all staff. That should be happening. But regardless of that, as a faculty member, I need to have the intestinal fortitude. I need to have the professionalism to teach myself, right? Self-directed learning. This is all part of what we do. We need to continue to develop our skills in order to remain relevant overall. So there's plenty of places where you can go in and learn this stuff. Of course, my YouTube channel is always giving out more information about this. There's books. I've written books. You know, you see this book right here. That's a great place to start. But there's lots of different resources that are out there that are available for all instructors to develop these skills so that we in turn can then help our students to develop these skills. This is something that must happen, and there's lots of resources for that. So that's one concern. Let's look at another concern, because there are some definite other concerns, but it's important for us to have these discussions, to think about them so that we can address all the concerns, so that we can move forward. Because ultimately, all we're thinking about here, all we should be focusing on is this idea of helping the student, preparing them for success when they graduate. So the next concern that I see is sort of some aspects of ethics, right? Oh, I don't want to address anything dealing with AI because I have some ethical reservations, or I think it's all bias. And yeah, that's understandable once again, right? So let's look at some ethical aspects. This is a tool. This is a tool. The way that the tool is used, that determines a lot of some of the ethical ideas with it, right? Now, talking about, well, what about the pre-trained data? Well, a lot of the data is publicly available. Almost all of it was. Other aspects of data that it might have been trained on, well, that's being handled in the courts, right? And that'll be addressed in that way. But a majority of the data that was used to train most of the AIs out there, publicly available data. So that's an aspect there to think about. The other one is, hey, AI could be used in a negative way. That's right. Anything and everything could be used in a negative way. Chemistry, that could be used in a very negative way to do all sorts of things. Biology, anything you can think of could be harnessed for a negative way. Part of our job as academics is to help students gain ethical understanding as well. You know, one of the big parts of AI literacy is critical thinking. We want to develop their ability to critically think. We want them to be able to think about these ethical things. We have to raise these ethical questions. If we don't raise them in the classroom, well, then how are they going to learn about it? So the fact that we might have ethical concerns, great. Let's bring them up in class. Let's talk about AI. Let's say, hey, I'm teaching you about AI literacy. I'm going to go to critical thinking. Let's talk about the ethical implications of this. Great. The big thing is that we have these discussions. We help our students develop these skills. So there's some aspects there of ethics that goes along with the bias aspect. Many students, I've given many presentations to students, and they didn't even realize that, oh, there's bias in AI. Of course there is. There's bias in everything. You pick up a textbook, guess what? There's probably going to be some bias in there. But us as academics, once again, that's our mission, is to help students understand what is bias. How can we recognize it? How can we act against it? How can we better understand things and realize that, hey, we have to have this critical thinking to overcome certain biases, to recognize biases, and to address those biases. So it really can't be this, oh, I have ethical concerns, so I'm not even going to look at AI. that really won't hold up. Why? Because we need to prepare our students. We need to help them understand ethical aspects of this. So that's an important part. There's another one here that I've actually come across, and that's sort of some physical issues, right? And again, this ties in with ethical aspects as well, in that, well, AI is using up a lot of electricity, so that's damaging the environment, or AI might cause some cognitive issues with students. They might become over-reliant, excess screen time. Yes, that's very true. None of those are any different than everything else that we do with education as far as screen time. We have them read content that's online. We have them watch videos, online instruction, using course management systems. So those are other issues that are beyond the scope of AI. Now, we do have to keep track of different things associated with AI, such as over-reliance. That is a real thing. But again, if the student has never even heard of the aspect of over-reliance, doesn't understand that, yeah, you could become over-reliant if they don't have this awareness. And awareness, that's again part of AI literacy. So if they don't develop that concept, that aspect of AI literacy, they won't be able to see over-reliance and fight against over-reliance. So again, this is an important thing, that although we might have reservations about AI for certain reasons as instructors, we have to realize that those are yet more reasons for us to ensure that we're teaching AI literacy to our students. So that's why it's yet another reason why this needs to be ingrained within the overall curriculum. Now let's talk about some other reasons why it's important for us to teach AI literacy, why this needs to be ingrained. Well, let's go back to the aspect of being ready to go out into the real world, right? Of course, the work aspect. Many different businesses are already using AI or are going to be using AI. Those jobs that are going to be cut because AI is going to replace them, they're still going to need some humans. They're still going to need some people in the loop. They're still going to need some people to manage certain things. Well, the people that are going to have those jobs are the ones that can work with the AI. So in order to ensure that our students are competitive, we have to ensure that they have these capabilities. So that's just in order to compete in general out there in the real world. And again, all the different articles out there are talking about how more and more businesses are looking into or already using AI. So that's an important thing to keep in mind as well. The other part is relevancy. If we in academia want to remain relevant, and that's a thing that lots of academics are fighting against, right? As far as, hey, our university is losing more and more people. There's less and less people that are wanting to go to higher education. We need to ensure that we maximize our relevancy and ensure that students and parents know that, hey, you do need to come to the university to learn the most, to gain this overall education. And part of that must include AI literacy. If I'm a parent and I'm trying to find the best university, the best education for my child, my student here, right? I for sure am going to be asking this question now. Hey, I want my child to get a job, and one of the requirements is AI literacy, AI skills, and you're not doing that? This isn't part of the curriculum? This degree doesn't even address AI in any way? Of course, I'm not going to take them to your university. This is going to be something that, in order to remain competitive, in order to be a marketable university, a marketable educational institution, that's going to be a primary thing. More and more, you're going to have families that are going to be looking for this as a quality indicator overall for their education. So my student must have this. My child must develop these skills. So the university must have this as well. Again, this is going to be a competing factor that we need to take into consideration. So that's a big one there. The other one, again, this loops back to the job market, but it also just is a personal thing as well. Safety of my personal information, the security of the data. All this is important factors that I need to think about. I need to think, okay, should I be putting this information into the AI? Is this an open AI? Is this a closed system? How secure is it? Did I read the terms of service? What are they going to do with my information? Now, this is important for me as an individual, but it's also going to be doubly important if I'm working somewhere and I'm putting in information that is sensitive information for that company. Well, then I could lose my job. I could put the job at risk, the company at risk. So these are important skills that have to be developed within that individual to know how to use the AI system properly. So again, that's another aspect of why everyone needs to develop these AI literacy skills. And this is why the universities, the educational institutions must include this in their overall curriculum in order to ensure that all students have this. So this is an important fact. We can't have this idea of, okay, I'm just going to encourage my faculty to do it. Great, you should be encouraging the faculty to do it. But the big thing is if we encourage faculty to do it, but we don't include it within the curriculum, then a faculty might not do it. They might choose not to do any type of AI literacy. So then the student doesn't get that information that's needed. Well, what if all the faculty that they ended up taking had that same mindset? So then they might never actually get the AI literacy. That's a possibility. So if we don't include this within the actual curriculum, if this doesn't become part of a student learning objective, a student learning outcome, if that's not part of the overall process of their education, then they might not get it. So we have to have standards. We have to have ensure that there's consistency so that they'll get it at different levels, at different times, in different ways. So this is important in order to ensure that we have a quality education that includes everything that they need in order to succeed. This is why we really need to work. We really need to ensure that we are working with faculty senate, with provosts, with presidents, to ensure that we get this AI literacy ingrained within the curriculum so that everyone, every student can gain these skills so that they can be set up for success as workers, as well as for citizens to be able to access information, to be able to use the information, to use the AI. And the AI is going to develop continually. I totally understand that, but that won't affect foundational skills that AI literacy can provide. Aspects of awareness, that'll never go away. We always need to have this understanding of how AI is affecting society. Aspects of capabilities. Yes, students need capabilities. They need to know things about prompt engineering, which is simply asking questions in a concise and effective way that gives all the proper aspects of a good question. That won't ever go away. We need to have things about knowledge. We need to have knowledge about how AI works, that everyone has access to it, some foundational information as far as terms. So again, these are things that won't go away, that won't become sort of deprecated or, hey, it's no longer usable. No, it'll always be usable. And of course, the fourth aspect of critical thinking, that'll never go away as far as them needing these skills. So the more that we understand that this is important skills that everyone needs to have, the better it'll be. And the way that we can ensure that is by integration into the overall curriculum. All right. Thank you, everyone. Please like, subscribe so that we can get the message out that this is something that needs to happen at all educational institutions. Please subscribe, share. Let's talk about it. Please leave a comment, and together we can come up with great solutions. And remember, learning is for life.